what's going on? So this is a hip rotation flow. So it's just a little mobility routine you can do to work on hip rotation. Not really important about sets, reps. We're just trying to get loose, get some movement, get some blood flow. Occasionally people are gonna have pinching in the hips. I always wanna avoid pinching in the hips. So if you can, maneuver the leg around in different ways or tuck your pelvis in different ways to see if you can remove the pinch. Otherwise, this might not be a good routine for you. To start, I get into more of this 90-90 position here. And what I'm doing, I'm just feeling different areas of both hips, what maybe feels tight, what doesn't. I can hold into those positions. I can stretch in one way, stretch in another way. I can rotate my spine. This becomes a little bit of a core challenge now where I'm trying to rotate while keeping an upright spine. Feel a little bit big of a pull there, and then I just switch to the other side. Same thing. You can play around with the position of your legs, the angles, whatever, it's not important. Just kind of get to the point of actually mobilizing the hips. And then from there, what we do is we work more into like a dynamic approach. So for the first part, I'm going to use my hands to stabilize, and I'm just twisting and rotating around. I realize when this is fast forward, it looks like an Elvis dance move. Maybe I should call it that. Once I get the hang of that, then I'm going to remove my hand support and try to rotate through. The hard part is disassociating your hips from your spine. So do your best. If you don't feel like you can progress to that yet because it's sloppy or you're having different issues, then stick with the hands. Next, I just go into seated windshield wipers. And the focus here is obviously moving at the hip. So I'm trying to rotate inwards as far as I can go and then outwards as far as I can go. So many of you are gonna have issues like myself with going into internal rotation. So that's kind of where I will stop and hold. I'm pushing, 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 3, 4, 5 seconds or whatever, then I'll go the other way. This is also one where you can remove hand support, try to do it with more core control. You can also work on like your spine rotation as you do it. You'll notice that there's a difference in how far you can rotate. After that, I'll use, sliders are optional, but you can use them to help distract the hip. So I'm trying to pull my hip apart like that and then do the same thing. So now I'm rotating with the hip out of this, it's not really out of socket, but you get the point here. So in, out, in, and this is all slow and controlled as you can see. I'm not like blowing through this. I'm trying to get little tips of that hip rotation as much as I can. Just a little bit at a time. So it's more of a muscle activation than it is just joint mobility. After that, we work on what we call hip flexor hurdles, but we're adding hip rotation to it. The typical hip flexor hurdle, I'm sitting up nice and tall, I'm gonna lift and hurdle whatever object I have there. Again, you can try it first with hand support. The progression would be no hand support. But what I like to do is then can we add like a sunrise of emotion. So my toe is gonna go all the way across, all the way this way, all the way across, all the way this way. So this is one where you can do like 5 to 10 or whatever feels comfortable, and then you switch to the other side, and you can switch back, hang out with this one as much as you can. Another variation you can do is I can actually start my hip in whatever rotation. So this is external rotation, my toes out. I'm gonna lift and hurdle that way, and then flip, lift, hurdle that way. Next, what we do are like quadruped hip rotation and then hip rotation hurdle in the quadruped position. So what I'll do is I go hands and knees, and I'm always trying to find a good position for my pelvis and my spine. If I go like all the way like this, I'm not gonna get much motion, and actually I start pinching there. So I'll tuck a little bit, and I'm just working on pure rotation at the hip here. If you need to, you can add a slider to help with this. There's my end range. I'm gonna hold it, hold it, hold it, back off. We're gonna go this way, hold it, hold it, hold it, back off. In between, I can do little mobility sets here. Pass it over to the other one. Same thing from this angle. So again, holding, I'm gonna go as far in as far as I can. Hold, hold, hold. I'm gonna go the other way, hold, hold, hold. In between, just do regular reps here. I can do 2 at a time. You can go one direction, like that and go in, kind of crash on the inside, but out. And then we can work on different angles of our hip flexion and pelvic position again. So I can get deeper, you won't get as much. Come out of that, you get a little bit more motion. Same thing with tucking and tilting the pelvis. In this position, we can also do hip rotation hurdles. For same concept, I'm gonna lift, rotate, set it down. Lift, rotate, set it down. So here, the challenge becomes how far out can we start to bring the block? So out, 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 down. In this one, the height of the box or the block isn't important. That depends on knee mobility. This is more about how far out the box is. Where hip flexor hurdles, the first one we did, the height then does matter, it makes it more of a challenge. So, a little bit of a hip flow for rotation. Go ahead and give these a go and tell me what you think.